Happy New Year to everybody. You know, as you probably all know now, and most people that'll read these articles or hear from me, that, you know, I'm a high school graduate. Proud of that. That was actually work for me to do that. And I love our country so much because it allows guys like me, who might not have started off in the best situation, to shoot for big things, and you never know, you might actually grab one of them every now and then. You guys have been following me for a while about Redneck Riviera. You know, that phrase goes back so far back. It goes back to the early 1960s. And it was the phrase that people would use to say, kind of tongue-in-cheek, well, we can't afford to go to the French Riviera, so we'll go to the Redneck Riviera, right? Because they could afford to go there. Well, that's the first time I ever felt salt water, too. That's the first time I ever got stung by a jellyfish. It was down in Panama City Beach. And I remember my dad, we were up in the Double Wide up in Amarillo, Texas, and saved up his money and put us in the station wagon and drove us down to Panama City Beach and got out there in the water. And I said, man, this must be heaven, honestly. What a beautiful place. And I know my dad took a lot of pride in knowing that he could bring his family somewhere cool like that. And so when I saw the phrase Redneck Riviera had never been trademarked, I went, I think I'm a pretty good guy to run with that phrase. You know, I understand it, and I believe what it stands for, the work hard, play hard crowd of America. The true royalty class, you know, the true elites of our country, I would say, are the work hard, play hard folks. And I think that is one thing that kind of binds us all together. And as I've been able to roll this whiskey out, it's 2 years to this week that the first bottles of Redneck Riviera whiskey ever came out. I didn't know what to expect. I thought, well, hope they like it. I know I like it. I was always a Crown Royal guy. You know, if you know big and rich music, you know Save a Horse, Ride a Cowboy. It says, by the bar, double round a crown. And everybody's getting down in this town, ain't going to be the same. Well, that's Canadian blended whiskey. And when I thought to myself, well, I've been drinking this Canadian blended all these years, I wonder where the American blended is. And I went to a couple of liquor stores. Matter of fact, I went down to Frugal McDougal's right in Nashville. And I walked into Frugal McDougal's, and the man says, can I help you find something? I said, yes, sir. Can you show me where your American blended whiskey is? And he said, hang on a minute. Hey, Bill, do we have anything called American blended whiskey? I don't think we have anything called that. And I said, in this whole store, there's nothing called that. And he went, no, I don't think so. Got the same answer over and over. And I said, well, I don't know anything about making whiskey, but I do know I like what I like. And wouldn't it be cool if we had America's answer to Crown Royal? That'd be kind of cool. So I worked on it for a whole year, 2017, over 200 different variations of this blend to get it to what is finally now in the bottle, in this bottle right here, that one right there with the white label, Redneck Riviera whiskey. I said, that might be the smoothest stuff I ever had, but I got one more person to run it by. The most experienced whiskey drinker I've ever met in my life, my Granny Rich, who's been sipping whiskey since World War II. And my distilling partner said, you gotta be kidding me, that can't be true. I said, oh no, because the first thing I'm gonna do is go buy a bottle of Redneck Riviera and I'm gonna have a cocktail with my Granny Rich. I said, okay, hope Granny likes it. Well, sure enough, she did like it. And she told me to tell America it was Granny Rich approved, which is about the best thing she could tell you. So over 2 years, this whiskey's been rolling. We're now nationwide, coast to coast, in states that I never thought in a million years would gravitate towards a brand called Redneck Riviera. But what they're gravitating towards is not necessarily that phrase. They love the fact that it's super premium, super smooth, and super affordable, just like the Redneck Riviera actually is. Can't afford to go here, but I can't afford to go there, but it's still a great place, right? I mean, ask me, would I rather be at the French Riviera, Redneck Riviera? Well, every single time it's put me in Destin, put me in Gulf Shores, put me in Panama City Beach. Why? Because the people are great, the food is great, the music is awesome, and the beaches are like powdered sugar down there, right? I mean, it's beautiful. We have this incredible place in our country, and you can afford to go there. That's why people like the brand. one important thing to me, and it's instilled in me since I was a little kid. When I was 5 years old out there hoeing weeds out of a jalapeno patch in Amarillo, Texas. And I made my first $5 for hoeing weeds all week. And my dad gives me the $5 and he says, "My son, you know you got a tithe on that." And I said, "What's tithe, Daddy?" He said, "Son, tithe is the thing. It's 10% at least. It could be more than 10, but a minimum of 10% of whatever you ever make, whether you're broke, rich, or in the middle, you're supposed to give 10% of whatever you make to other people that need it. And if you do that, God will bless your business. He'll bless whatever you're doing because it's a sacrifice and you got to do it. You'll respect it." I said, "Okay." So here comes 50 cents on the offering plate, right? Out of my $5. Well, I've carried that on, and I've taught my kids that. Well, with Redneck Riviera, our 10% goes to the Folds of Honor, which is an organization that puts kids through college who lost a parent in combat. Can you think of a stronger way to say thank you for your service than looking after the family members that are left behind? I can't. And so I said, with something as American as Redneck Riviera, by golly, let's put that 10% towards Folds of Honor. So I just did the math on it in my iPhone. I pulled up the calculator and I punched it in there because, you know, I'm a high school graduate. I ain't that great at math. We are now at $389,000 that we have sent to the Folds of Honor in 2 years alone. We can clap for that. We can clap for that. That's a lot of money, especially for a startup brand, you know. But I think that's another thing that people in this country care about. They want to know that you're taking care of other people too. And if you succeed, they succeed, and it gets, you know, it gets handed down to them, and they get to go take a run at the American dream too. So the whiskey's doing incredibly well. Our second anniversary, you can see the family has grown, you know. So we started out with this one bottle here. This is the original Redneck Riviera whiskey. This is where it started. And then, of course, not long after that, people started saying, "Well, are you going to come with a reserve version of your whiskey?" I said, "Well, if I did, I know who I'd name it after. Granny Rich, right?" So here comes the Granny Rich Reserve. And this is the same exact blend as Redneck Riviera Original, but 4 years older, just like Granny is. We say it's a little smoother and a little older and a little stronger, just like Granny Rich. Granny Rich is right here on the back of the bottle. There's her beautiful face right there. She will be 88 in February. I saw her yesterday down at her shop in Ashton City, Tennessee, where she was hemming skirts for old ladies, as she called them. I'm like, "My God, how old were they? Granny, you're 87. She goes, "I don't know, they seem old to me." And she's smoking a cigarette. This is now, I believe we're beyond 12 states with Granny Rich Reserve and growing. And then here comes the Howdy Do. Now, this is a thing that, I don't know if y'all remember, like when you was younger and you go to a party and nobody's really got a proper cocktail. So they just dump whatever they got in the bucket and pour some juice in it and run their cup through it and they go, "Hey, it's a party." It's kind of along that kind of thinking, except this one's put together very well. So if you can imagine what Hawaiian Punch tastes like, but it's 5.5%. That's what that can's got. It's called Howdy Do. We say, when the long hot summer's getting the best of you, grab yourself an ice cold. Howdy do, right? So it's a little hee-haw in it. It's fun. It's like your rowdy uncle that shows up at the family reunion. That's what Howdy Do is. That is also moving through multiple states right now. That's going to be a big year for that. Now the final piece of my puzzle that has come to bear recently is Redneck Riviera Jerky. And people say, "Why would you do that?" Well, because I don't know if you're a jerky lover like I am, but man, if you want to eat something that ain't going to make you, you know, put on the weight, but it tastes good and gives you some energy, straight meat will do that for you, right? So I started working on these flavors with my friends at CJC, Jack Link. These guys come into bear. This is actually a Redneck Riviera whiskey barbecue. So this jerky actually has Redneck Riviera whiskey in it. That's what that one is. This one is called Amarillo Heat, my hometown, Amarillo, Texas. It's got a little jalapeno in it, right? It's good. You'll like it. And it's so tender. Again, Granny Rich being the final taste tester, she said, well, I got to make sure I can chew that. She don't want to be going like that, right? And she ate it. She said, that might be the most tender jerky I've ever had. Wow. When do I get a case of that? Amarillo heat. And then probably my favorite of these three, and we're launching with 3 flavors. It's called spicy fried pickle. Now, how many of y'all have ever, I know, right? The mouths are dropping. People are going, what? Spicy fried pickle? Anybody want to smell what this smells like for a minute? So like when you go to a bar in Nashville or wherever your hometown is, and you're looking at that very short menu, and you see spicy fried pickles. Well, first of all, if you're in that bar, why not eat spicy fried? You might as well. I'll take a platter of it, right? So this is spicy fried pickle. I'm gonna let Adam take a little smell of this first. Adam, come on up here there for a minute. Open that sucker up, take a whiff.
Wow.
What's that smell like to you?
It smells like the real deal.
It smells like spicy fried pickle. Have a little bite of that. Absolutely, take a little chew on that. Is it tender?
This guy, smoothest whiskey and most tender jerky.
Hey! The smoothest whiskey and the tenderest jerky. There you go.
Can I keep this one?
You can keep it. Yeah, we've got bags for everybody. So what's happening now is the whiskey and the jerky are now coming together. In 2020, you're going to be going to your local grocery store and seeing them combined together like that. And by the way, if you look at a bag of Redneck Riveria jerky, guess what that is right there? Folds of Honor. There it is again. So 10% of this also goes to Folds of Honor. So I'm excited about 2020. I have to give so much gratitude and appreciation just for people that have supported me. A lot of you folks have covered this story since day one and go, well, I hope he does it, you know. I mean, that's pretty cool. We'll see what happens. And then a year rolls by, you go, that's a pretty good year. Now we got a second year under our belts, and you go, that's a really good year. Here comes the next one. It's going to be incredible, and those checks to Folds of Honor are going to grow and grow and grow. So on the count of 3, can I get a hell yeah? 1, 2, 3.
Hell yeah!
Any questions? Come on.
Well, can I ask you one here? I was here a little while ago, and I remember I was impressed by something you started to say about you rolled up your sleeves, you sat down by a phone when you were just launching the whiskey, and you started calling every manager in a chain of supermarkets. Could you remind me, what was that?
So, you know, I've always said that entrepreneurs, there's a lot of entrepreneurs in America. Matter of fact, we got the most, right? Because we have this thing called the American Dream, which allows people to be entrepreneurs. And so we got a lot of them. And what a lot of them run into is called work. And it is hardcore, and it's very disappointing most of the time. You don't get a lot of wins as an entrepreneur. If you ever do get a win, it's probably going to count if you're an entrepreneur. So because I believe in what I'm doing, and I know this is an important thing that I'm doing, and I believe people will really get it if they ever get their hands on it, I decided, well, I had this grocery store chain down in Florida called Winn-Dixie. Oh, God. And there's hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of them down there. And Winn-Dixie said, hey, we're going to put Redneck Riveria whiskey in all of our stores. I said, that's a big deal. I said, boy, it sure be cool if I could talk to every single one of those managers in those stores. And number one, say, thank you for putting my whiskey in your store. But number two, here's how you sell it. And here's why my whiskey's different. Here's what Folds of Honor is all about. So guess what they did? They sent me the stack of paper that had every manager's phone number of every Winn-Dixie down in the South. And it took me 5 days, but I called every single last one of them and talked to every single one of them. And I think if you really care about what you're doing, you're going to work at it like that. You only got so many heartbeats, let's make them count, right? So that's how I've gone at it. And I tell entrepreneurs all the time, guys, you can have a great idea, but if you ain't willing to really go after it, it probably ain't going to amount to much. And for mine, it's already amounting to a lot, and I intend it to amount to a lot more than that. You got to remember, when you're giving 10% of everything you make, that 10% just gets bigger and bigger and bigger and bigger, right? So that's why you pick up the phone and call everybody down in the state like that.